Hi, I'm midwife Deidre, and I'm here to discuss why I became a nurse. I was a public health major initially, and then decided that I wanted to get into patient care specifically. So at that point, I had decided that I was very much so interested in becoming a certified nurse midwife. So I went to nursing school. I started nursing school in 2008, and I had a previous degree, a previous bachelor's degree. So I only need to do 2 years of nursing school as a second degree nursing student. So I graduated in 2010, and then a few months later, I started my first job as a registered nurse, as a labor and delivery nurse. So I was very, very excited to kind of start my career path. And I get a lot of questions about how to get a labor and delivery nurse job, specifically for nurses who just really want to do labor and delivery, or for nurses who are prospective certified nurse midwives who want to become labor and delivery nurses first. That's a very hard question to answer. How do I get a labor and delivery job? It's a challenge in most job markets. That is a very niche specialty, and they have a lot of applicants usually for labor and delivery jobs, and they're usually looking for nurses who have experience. Now, does that mean it's impossible? It does not, but that means that you're competing with a lot of nurses who are looking for this particular position. So how do you get this job? So I'll be honest and say what helped me get my first labor and delivery job is knowing someone at the institution that I applied. Now, I had applied to several institutions in my area where I actually grew up, but I didn't really think about the whole networking aspect. I did not have a job prior to graduating. I had not done an externship anywhere. So I will tell you that really helps to know someone. I had a family friend who had been employed there for several decades on postpartum who knew the right people. She was collegial with the director of nursing at the time, and when I told her I was looking for a job and I had applied for the labor and delivery position, she went ahead and forwarded my information to the director of nursing. And that is how I got my interview. So, mind you, it didn't get me the job per se, but it definitely helped to have someone push my information along to the right person. I did interview with the nurse manager and HR, and did get and accept that labor and delivery job. And I was there for 4 years. So if you're not really sure how to get and how to seek your first labor and delivery job as a new grad, the first thing I would say is figure out your network. You may not really know or remember who works where, but put feelers out. Tell everyone you know, family, friends, friends of friends, whoever you meet, that you are looking for a labor and delivery job, because you don't know who knows who. It could be someone's mother, someone's aunt, someone's friend of a friend who may be a nurse there, maybe a nurse at that on that floor, on that unit, maybe a unit clerk, and may not be someone who's a nurse, but it may be someone who knows the right person. And if you are fortunate enough to get a contact for that role, move fast. Don't wait. And I say this because I've seen this happen where people wait, or they don't really move forward with that information quickly enough, and that person no longer works there, or the person who they knew could help doesn't work there. They get transferred, they move to another department. So if you get that type of contact information, move quickly. Use LinkedIn. Figure out your network via LinkedIn. Connect with folks. It may be labor and delivery nurses or OB techs at other institutions, but keep in mind that in healthcare, a lot of folks have multiple jobs. They may have a full-time position at one institution and they may have a per diem job at another institution. So you really, and you don't know who knows who. So definitely take advantage of LinkedIn as much as possible. Now, pre-pandemic, I would say go to job fairs. Go to job fairs. It is important that people get to meet you off paper. If they can put a face to the name on a piece of paper, you are in a much better place to sell yourself in person, and also for them to just know that you really are interested. You just didn't blindly apply to this position and therefore look like every other candidate. So right now things are a little bit different. I'm not going to speak too much in detail about job fairs, but any opportunity that you get to meet someone who can be a lead into a labor and delivery position, take advantage of that. It could mean attending an online virtual conference related to women's health. Check with your local March of Dimes, for example. Any organization that has anything to do with maternal or child-infant health. I mean, more than likely, there are people who serve on those committees who are clinicians or who are registered nurses who may know the right people. If you're going to go that route, make sure that you are bringing value if you approach someone who may be in a position of power, so that they know that you're not just taking and trying to find out information low key, but that you're like, hey, I am really interested in being a labor and delivery nurse. This is what I can bring to the table. So kind of use the right terminology to make sure that people know that you're serious and that you have value, right? Before they recommend you, before they move your name across, they need to know that you are worth their word. The other thing that I would say when it comes to looking for a labor and delivery job is don't spend a lot of time and money trying to get certifications and things. Any job worthwhile, worth having, they are going to provide all the training that you need as a new grad. You want to look for a position that has a residency program. That is, in my opinion, very, very helpful as a new grad registered nurse. If they do not have a formal residency program, you want to make sure they at least have a formal preceptorship training program. As a new grad registered nurse on labor and delivery, you should have about 12 weeks of training. Okay, so that's something that I would expect in any institution. If you have somehow have experience, maybe you were extern at that same institution, maybe a little bit less, but honestly, I really do believe in the 12 weeks, having someone that you can work one-on-one with, and it may be more than one person. That's been my experience as well, but most times it's one person, or at least that one person the majority of the time. When you have experienced a little bit different, you may have multiple people that you work with, but that's because you come with a certain level of experience and knowledge already, so it's not like you're just relying on continuity with one particular nurse. So with the whole training aspect, don't go out and try to become a doula simply for becoming a labor and delivery nurse. If you want to be a doula, by all means, but it's not required. It is not necessary to go through a training certification process to become a labor and delivery nurse. That will be provided for you. You do not need to get electronic fetal monitoring training if you want to and you're able, but I don't want you to have a false sense of hope that you've come in as a new grad nurse with your electronic fetal monitoring, your ACLS, your NRP, you do all this training, but you have no context. It's not helpful, and it does not really move you forward, at least in my opinion, as a great applicant, because you still don't have that foundation, that knowledge base yet. But that is what they are going to train you to do. So those are my main tips when it comes to looking for a labor and delivery job as a new grad registered nurse. You want to reach out to your network. Build your network if you don't already have one. I highly recommend that you start looking for a job prior to graduation if you know where you want to work. If you're open to, move around the country, move around your state, that may be a little bit more challenging. But let's say you have the opportunity to do an externship somewhere, they are more likely to hire you than if you are anyone else. So please take advantage of any externship. If you know that for sure labor and delivery is for you, go ahead, do an externship, get to know the nurses, get to know the OBs and the midwives and all the other support staff, the OB techs, to really determine if that's where you want to work. That's a great opportunity while still learning and developing your skills as a labor and delivery nurse. So I will say that I was a labor and delivery nurse for 4 years initially, and at the same time I was actually in graduate school to become a certified nurse midwife. So I became a certified nurse midwife, and I worked as a midwife for approximately 5 years. So several months ago I did leave my position, and I actually took on a registered nurse role. So I'm back to the bedside as a labor and delivery nurse currently. And I brought with me that level of experience that, and I mean, I've been doing this for a while now. So for me, like having experience, people are happy to hire you with experience. Now, does that mean that you absolutely have to have a labor and delivery job out of college or you'll never have the opportunity? That is not true. I highly recommend, if you are unsuccessful with finding a labor and delivery nurse job, at whatever institution you're trying to work, if you can take another position, another registered nurse position, chances are you will be able to transfer over time. Now, every institution is different. They may have a rule. They may say, well, if we hire you for this other RN position, we need to make sure that you're willing to stay in this position for at least 6 months or at least a year, and then we'll be open to you transferring to another department. Any institution worth their salt is going to be happy to train you and have you transfer to whatever specialty that you want over your years there, because you are valuable. Once they train you, they find you valuable. They don't want you to go someplace else. So don't feel discouraged if you are unable to find a registered nurse role right out of nursing school. It is okay. I've known nurses who went into other areas because they could not secure a position on labor and delivery and eventually transferred over. And they brought the skills and the knowledge that they had from whatever specialty they came from, or medical surgical, or psych. It's okay. You can have varied experiences and still be very valuable to a labor and delivery unit. So those are my recommendations for any new graduate nurse who is looking for a labor and delivery RN position. Thank you.